All right, here we go. It is the BCJ podcast brought to you, as always, by our good friends at the Holy Grail. Hopefully, everyone was able to stop by the Grail over the weekend, catch the Bearcats win over the Miami Redhawks, and we will be back at the Grail here in a couple weeks. A lot of time in October at the Grail as the Bearcats have 3 of their 4 games in the month on the road. So every time the Bearcats are on the road, we are at the Holy Grail for a watch party. So make sure you make your plans now and get down to the Holy Grail and hang out with us, or just go down there without us. You can go by yourself. I promise you'll have a great time. All right, let's get this show on the road. I'm Chad Brendel. He's Dave Simone. Hi, David. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I've been working on lighting finally after a year of doing this channel. I figured lighting was finally something on the list of importance.
Gotta get
I can
circle things that you put behind those guys.
I got one of those, and I got a floor one.
Oh, okay.
Over here.
What if you hung the Bearcat Journal logo from the ceiling and then it shone down on you? It'd be almost angelic.
Then you couldn't see it.
Well, you can't see it now, so.
True. And then, everything. Why does everything have a remote now? Everything has a remote. I've got 1, 2, 3. The Bearcat Journal sign has a remote. On my desk right now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 remotes.
Seems a bit much.
There's a remote for the webcam. There's a remote for each of the lights, the TV remote, the internet remote. I've got a remote for my monitor. What do we need? I don't need 7 remotes in my office. I don't. But apparently I do. Because then when I don't have one, I'm screwed. Because I'm where's the remote? Anyhow, that's enough about me and my setup for the time being. How was your weekend downtown, David?
It was fine. It's good. The Bearcats won. Tailgating was fine. They got the streets open. There were no issues with that. No issues getting into the game that I experienced. No issues with the concessions or the vendors. It was fine.
Yeah, overall, I thought it was a pleasant experience. I'm really glad I stopped by your tailgate and got some food because the food in the Bengals press box.
Are you telling me Miami didn't hook you guys up?
I think it's just whatever the company is. It might even be Aramark.
Aramark,
yeah. Aramark that's at UC. It did not look appetizing. They had some hot dogs and brats that looked like they had just been sitting in in that tray since the last Bengals home game. Not the Steelers one, the one before that.
The Raiders?
Yeah, since the Raiders, it had been sitting there since the Raiders game. Not ideal.
Yeah,
but other than that, everything was pleasant. A fine experience down on the field, catching the game and taking in all the action. So any Miami talk you want to get to?
Not really. I did go back and rewatch the game. And the one, it didn't affect, I don't think it made a huge difference one way or the other. And I think it was, not a big deal, but for both teams, I thought those officials were about as bad as I've seen in a long time. There were several calls on rewatch that I was just kind of baffled at. Nick Martiner's touchdown at the end of the half never should have happened. That was absolutely a illegal substitution, too many men in the formation penalty on UC. Their one touchdown after Chuck's fumble where they got the tight end out in the flat. The fullback, just whether you wanted to call it pass interference or a hold, just came in and set a pick and just held the linebacker on the outside of his jersey
the whole way. Yeah, I saw that one.
You know, it was just not, you know, I agreed with the announcer saying that the Trey Tucker touchdown in the corner on the sideline should have been a touchdown. It didn't feel like a very well officiated football game. Other than that, I mean, I think we covered everything Sunday morning. You guys touched on a lot more Monday night, so you know, not a ton worth rehashing. Glad to get the win. Glad to move on.
Alrighty. Sorry, the wife and child just got home from volleyball. So
wonderful.
Yeah, I think they won tonight. So how about that? Yeah, it's interesting because I really didn't like on the field. The officiating didn't seem like I thought the Mardner play that there was like Chuck Martin was right to have lost his mind on that one.
Oh yeah,
but it wiped out what should have been a touchdown from Trey Tucker earlier.
It was the exact same. It was basically the exact same penalty they got called for on 4th and 1 later in the game. Yeah, like you can't.
I'm surprised he didn't blow. Like that's when coaches get kicked out in basketball.
Quarterback can't come up to the line and be in the formation, and then a guy runs off as a 12th man. Like it was
simple.
Basically the same play, and they got called for it, and UC didn't, and I would have been very, very upset about it as well.
But again, Trey Tucker had a touchdown earlier in that drive, and they took it away from him.
Right. I mean, I think they missed that call too. So
I didn't think it was like I didn't notice it being bad, but it's really hard to tell.
Right. It's tough to tell on the field. Like, I think both pass interference calls, the one on Arquan, the one on Will Huber, I mean, in the letter of the law, probably pass interference, but like to me, they weren't so egregious that it kept the guy from making a play on the ball. The big play, or the big part of the penalty on Huber was that Avion Smith threw it to the wrong damn guy.
Right.
His running back would have scored a touchdown more than likely if he threw it to him, because they totally dropped the coverage on that. He threw it to the tight end and had the pass interference call. So UC definitely got lucky there. Josh Wiley's penalty, it kind of reminded me of those times when a guy goes up for a layup or a dunk and he gets fouled and he hits the ground real hard, so they call flagrant even though it wasn't flagrant. Like, if that guy didn't get hurt, are they calling that a penalty?
Right.
Like, it was a crackback block. Like, I guess that's not really allowed anymore, but like, you certainly don't call that every time. I mean, he went in motion and blocked down on the end. Is he not supposed to hit him that hard? Like, I would tell Josh to do that same thing every time we run that play. So
yeah, sorry, talking to Kelly for a second. Aaron, can you tag in for a second?
I don't know what you're supposed to do there. Like, I'm fine with that. I guess if that's going to be a penalty, that's going to be a penalty. I wouldn't tell him to do it any differently. So,
yes.
Other than that, not really anything that I need to dig back into. I think we covered it all well enough. Sunday morning.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what you guys are doing on Sunday morning is putting quite a nice bow on everything. You guys both are analytical freaks, so it's certainly more homework on a game against Miami than I care to do.
Yeah, and I don't even care to I don't even care to get into like the contract and the series and what should happen. it is what I hate the phrase, but like it is what it is. It's not changing before 2029, and we'll see what happens in 2030, and that's 8 years from now. And there might be 2 iterations of a college football playoff before then.
I mean,
so like, they're going to have a college football playoff maybe in 2020, an expanded college football playoff maybe in 24, more than likely 25. There might be another version of it by the time this contract is over. So like, me trying to hypothetical and contextualize what the next iteration of this series is, like, it just feels like such a waste of time to me.
Do you hope, like, when Cincinnati is hosting the game, that they open the upper deck next time it's at Paycor?
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't know I'm assuming that was Miami's decision to only release X amount of tickets, knowing that if they released more, then UC fans would buy as many tickets as they could. But I don't know how that works with the contract. That's the thing, is like, it's just a very odd dynamic. Like, what is the control of the quote unquote home team? Like, when UC is technically the home team in 2026, do they get to determine how many seats get open? Is that the Bengals? Like, I don't know those answers, so I can't say one way or the other. All I know is there were empty seats in the lower level, and I don't think it was because UC fans,
wouldn't have bought them.
Right, wouldn't have bought them. So
I mentioned this on PTP last night. Do you think it's hilarious, as hilarious as I find it, that the ivory-skinned Miami students and families didn't fill the end zone behind the field goal posts in their section because it was directly in the sun, as opposed to the UC folks who just filled up the stands?
Well, yeah, because we don't like it. It's just and that's the problem in a stadium like that, and in a setup like that, they just don't have the fan base. So whether they get 10,000 tickets or 50, I don't know. I mean, they just don't have the number of people that are interested in their games, whether it's in Oxford or in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But if the contract is written a certain way, I don't blame them for not opening up more available tickets. Yes, they split it 50-50, but you don't want it, from their standpoint, you don't want it to be even more one-sided than it already is, probably.
Not if you hope to win the game, but if you are just writing this one off as an L and you're just trying to make a cash.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, you're making 50% of the money. Why wouldn't you want to make another $200,000-$300,000 by selling the whole place?
I don't think they wrote this year off anywhere near like they did last year. I mean,
last year they knew they were going to get their.
That was evident in their game plan last year, how they approached the game, like every element of that, even with what Chuck said leading up to the game and after the game. I mean, they clearly played this game with the intentions of trying to win.
Sure.
But again, until I get to really sit down or have a conversation with someone and really understand and we might, the next fan council meeting, I might ask those type of questions and see, what the answers are, if those are answers that I'm allowed to talk about. But to me, it kind of just doesn't matter because it's only going to be there one more time.
Yeah.
In this contract. So
I just want to get your thoughts on it. I'll let you guys do your thing.
I would think, I think it would make sense that you allow the home team to kind of determine based on interest how many tickets they can sell. But again, the Bengals are not going to open up the entire upper deck because you might be able to get 5,000 more people up there when you can't sell out the lower section to begin with. And that's not on UC. That's just, like I said, on the fact that Miami just doesn't have the fan base. UC can bring all of Nippert Stadium into the lower section, and it still isn't going to be sold out.
Right.
Because of Miami.
What did Miami have? 7,000-8,000 there?
Yeah,
probably?
I mean, I would guess somewhere in the 5 to 8 range. So
What's going to be interesting is what does it look like in 2026 when it's a UC home game?
right. I mean, where the teams are, and it will have a lot to do with that as well. I mean, that's still 4 years from now. We have no idea.
Sure, but you would hope Cincinnati in the Big 12 is still on an upward trajectory.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it'll just be interesting. I can try to find out, just like how, you don't have to give me details, but like how is it determined based on who the home team, like how many tickets, who decides, how many tickets are available in the whole stadium? Is that a Bengals thing? Is that a home team thing? Is that a predetermined, agreed upon thing that we're going to split the tickets 50? Because it's not like, it's not like a regular home game where your road team then gives you back the tickets.
Right.
Miami's not giving UC their unbought tickets to then sell to UC fans. If you want to buy them, you can go through Miami.
And
but they're
Miami
not
wasn't aggressively trying to sell those tickets.
No, absolutely not.
The only thing I want to ask you before we potentially move on, are you at all surprised how dominant Ivan Pace has been?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we did just a little, glimpse into what's going on the rest of the week. Myself and Matt Weaver from Pigs.com, 24/7 Indiana site, exchanged some questions today, and that was one. He asked a question kind of just about the defense, a lot of guys leaving, who's filling in, and I said that the headliner is obviously Ivan Pace. He's got twice as many tackles as the next closest player on the team. He leads the team in sacks, and we thought that he would be good. But I thought
that he would be the best player on the defense, and he's still better than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, we did not think that he would be as impactful, as immediate as he's been. And considering that he is undersized, but yet he has this knack for being able to get off blocks, being able to knife between people into the backfield. He seems to time his moves very well. His blitzes, his fakes, he's just been, like you said, we thought he'd be really good. We thought he could be the best player in the defense. And I think through 3 games, he's blown past expectations.
That's hard to do, right? Like when the expectations are, you should be the best player on one of, the really good defenses, maybe not one of the elite defenses like last year, but still one of the really good defenses in America. And you're better than, like, I don't know. It just blows my mind that he's been able to have this type of impact just immediately.
Yeah. I mean, I fully agree. It's funny you asked the question because that's kind of what I put in the article. I don't know when that's going up on their side. I know you put the
one.
He
said theirs will go up Friday, I believe. Okay.
I just had
a lot. We had a lot of stuff going up tomorrow and Friday, so
yeah. I had a lot. I'm out of pocket the rest of the week, so I had to make sure we got that stuff answered and done today. So
yeah. All right. You wanna get into Indiana?
Sure. I have a lot. So do you want to kind of like, to keep me from just rambling, why don't you ask me a couple things and I'll try to, instead of me just rambling on and on, we can kind of maybe segment it a little bit.
All right. Quarterback. Let's start at quarterback. They get a transfer. Sure looks like they probably should have tried to hang on to Michael Penix.
I don't know. I don't know if Michael Penix can ever play that well again.
This year at Washington. Am I back?
Yep.
Okay. Michael Penix is having one of the best starts in the country this year at Washington. So maybe should have tried to hang on to him.
Yeah, I think he's one of 3 or 4 quarterbacks that have thrown for over 1,000 yards already.
Yeah. What are they getting? And you can pronounce this kid's name.
Connor Bazelak.
Bazelak, yeah. What are they getting so far from Connor Bazelak?
So I would say he had a pretty darn good year. I guess that would have been the COVID year at Missouri.
2020, yeah.
And then him, the team, whatever, kind of backslid last year, and then he transferred. I think he's steady. He can make all the throws. He has a really odd. So I'm trying to wrap my head around how this is possible. So they're 99th in the country in yards per attempt at 6.6, which is not. I mean, it's not good.
Right.
But yet they're 105th in the country in passer rating. So how do you attempt a lot of short passes but aren't effective?
It doesn't make. I mean, well, their offense isn't. They throw a lot, but that doesn't necessarily.
He's completing
mean
like 54.5% of his passes.
Yeah.
In comparison, Ben Bryant is completing 70.1% of his passes.
70% good, 54%.
So
this fan base would be having a stroke if the quarterback was completing 54% of his passes.
I don't want to give too much away of these articles. I want people to read them, obviously. But that was, my first question is usually always about the quarterback. And he seems to run their offense well. They're an up-tempo offense. He seems to fit well with their new offensive coordinator, Walt Bell. But I guess he's either pretty accurate or not even in the vicinity. I think he's had the receivers have had some drops. But I guess his accuracy can be well off the mark. I mean, has to be if you're a 54% passer against one comparable defense to UC and then two not even in the same galaxy as UC. So, I think the one thing that I am interested to see, and this will kind of affect the UC defensive line, is he's the first non-running quarterback that they're going to play this year.
Right.
So what does that do from a UC pressure standpoint? Now that you can pressure, you can run games, not really having to worry about lane integrity, gap discipline, because, KJ Jefferson, Avion Smith, and the Kennesaw State quarterback can be athletic and can get outside the pocket and make a play with their legs.
Do they have – what's the wide receiver talent look like?
DJ Matthews, Cam Camper.
DJ Matthews is the guy that gave him fits last year.
Okay, had some trouble with him. He's a former Florida State transfer. I think Cam Camper's a transfer too. That's the thing with this game. It's their first road game, and they're breaking in a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, and a bunch of new players. So how does that all mesh in your first road game?
Right.
Those two receivers take up I'm assuming they take up well over 50% of the targets. They have caught right at 50, a little bit above 50% of the completions. I think they have some other, they spread the ball around. He completed passes against Western Kentucky to, I want to say, 9 different guys. So something similar to what UC has been doing. UC fans know about DJ Matthews. Peyton Hendershot was their nice tight end last year. He is no longer there. I think it's those two guys, and then you worry about those two and figure out what to do with the rest.
Both outside guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
They moved DJ Matthews around a lot. If you remember last year, they did a reverse to him. I think they played him in the slot and outside.
Well, remember last year they also ran that wonky offense where they put a blocking tight end as the only pass catcher to Sauce's side.
Yeah, and they had Ty Freifogel, who was their main outside guy. So, Matthews might be more of an outside guy. They might have brought in Cam Camper to replace Freifogel as an outside. receiving threat. So, but yeah, those two guys are gonna. I mean, they're gonna throw it. They're gonna test the DBs, which Miami just didn't. I don't think Miami had the dudes. Kennesaw doesn't throw. They were shaky at times and good at times against KJ Jefferson. So it'll be a test. I mean, you'll need to get pressure, and they're gonna try to make plays through the air because they really just don't run the ball very well at all. Even though it's better than last year, it's still not good.
They are what, in the 70s, 80s?
Yeah, they're
of rushing?
They're in the 70s, 80s, 90s in terms of yards per carry and yards per game. I mean, like 130 yards per game, just over 4 yards a carry. Sean, they got a lot of guys with like alliteration names. Cam Camper and Sean Shivers, who is a transfer from Auburn. It's kind of a smaller, compact guy. And then Josh Henderson, I want to also say, is a transfer from North Carolina. Are their two main backs. Decent yards per carry numbers, but just like not a lot of touches, not a lot of success. The offensive line is still not a very good run blocking unit as a whole. So with the way that UC has, I don't think either of those guys can stress them outside the way Arkansas did with Rocket Sanders and their other freshmen that had a couple carries, and the way KJ Jefferson can run the ball. And we've seen what UC does when you try to run inside. It doesn't go well. And they're I don't know if he's starting. I'm going to assume he's starting a third string center. This is a wild one. So last week, their second string center, I guess their starter was out or has been out. Their second string center, Zach Carpenter, I think is from Cincinnati. Transferred there from Michigan, maybe?
Yeah.
Injured his hand in pregame warmups.
Okay.
I don't know how they didn't. I watched Tom Allen Monday. He speaks again tomorrow. I don't think I'll be able to see it unless it's late at night. But somehow injured his hand in warmups and couldn't go. So I'm imagining if you injured your hand, your snapping hand, he's probably not going to be able to go this week. And if he does, how good of a job snapping can he be expected to do? So they put in some kid that's from like a 1A, which I guess is Indiana's smallest division, like came in as a defensive lineman. So this is his first go as a center, was last week. And I guess he played pretty well. But I picked up on something that Garrett Campbell talked about the other day, which was the 3-man front, the odd man front versus the 4-man front, the even front. And he talked about in the odd front, you have a lot of guys crossing your face, a lot of pass-offs. In a 4-man front, it's a lot of see in front of you, hit in front of you. So if he starts at center, how does he handle that element of guys crossing his face, having to work a tandem block with the two guards? Something worth watching, and just, I'd have to assume that the blunt force trauma of Jawan Briggs and Dante Corleone will be slightly different than whatever Western Kentucky had at nose or D tackle last week.
It's it's interesting looking at them. Like, they very easily could be 0-3.
Yeah, they are. They are definitely skating on the margins right now. I mean, if you want to go to the first game, pretty terrible call and replay by the Big Ten officials to not give Illinois a touchdown very late in that game that likely would have won them the game. They were down 10-0 at halftime to Idaho. They were never going to lose to Idaho. but the fact that you were down 10-0 is concerning. And then last week, Western Kentucky had the ball on their 9-yard line. I want to say fairly late or in the fourth quarter with a chance to go up 18. And I think turned it over. Indiana ties it. Western gets the ball. Indiana kicks it out of bounds, then gets a pass interference penalty. Western misses a game-winning field goal in regulation. Then they go to overtime. Western gets a field goal blocked in overtime, and then Indiana kicker, who is very good, they do nothing offensively, and he makes a 51-yarder to win the game.
Yeah.
So, they gave up 450 yards last week. In the second half, they gave up runs of 59 and 39. They are making the plays when they need to make them. So there's, you can't overlook that. They are getting key turnovers. They've been very good red zone defense. When teams have gotten down there, they have kept them to field goals. So, that's a concern. We obviously, I think Ryan Coe has improved since week 1, but we need to score touchdowns at home. You can't be settling for field goals at home. And we got to, the penalties and the turnovers, there's not really a reason to keep harping on it. It's obvious. You can't be especially fumbles, you can't be putting the ball on the carpet 4 or 5 times and thinking that you're going to recover the majority of those.
Yeah, and there was it was a concern again Tuesday at practice. I thought the ball was on the turf too much. There were a couple times that it's man, they have got to clean this up immediately, because they're potentially too good on offense to keep shooting themselves in the foot. I want to see what's the real potential of this offense without the 1st and 15s and the fumbles in opposing territory.
Right.
They're holding themselves back with this stuff. And I talked about it Saturday night in the bites, man. It is going to jump up and bite you in the ass. It is going to. It is inevitable. And it already kind of has with Arkansas, with the turnovers and the penalties.
Yeah, with Arkansas and with, if you turn the ball over or give the opponent opportunities like they did against Miami, a better team is going to take advantage of that. The one would-be interception that ricocheted off Chuck, their own guy knocked the ball out of their linebacker's hands. He didn't know whose hands were there, so you can't blame him, but the guy is right there ready to intercept it, and he would probably walk into the end zone, and their defensive lineman is going backwards, dives for the ball, and literally just knocked it out of his hands.
Yeah. And that would have been potentially all of a sudden it's a 1-score game and there's real game pressure on you against the team you probably should have been up 35-10 or 35-3.
Well, Mason punted a few times. It was turnovers.
Yeah.
They had I want to say they had 2 3-and-outs. They obviously scored 5 touchdowns. They kicked a field goal, so that's 8 drives. And then they had 2 fumbles and a punt, or 2 fumbles and an interception. It's 11. They probably had maybe a couple more punts in there. He punted 3 or 4 times, I think.
He punted 5 times.
5 times, so yeah. So you scored as many touchdowns as you had punts.
Yeah.
And then your other possessions, you're turning it over. They've shown that they have the ability to drive long fields. They have some of the best, inside your own 20 points per play, points per drive numbers in the country.
Yeah, when they click, the ball just zips down the field. And that's what happens when you have 15 splash plays.
Well, that was my big number I put out on Twitter today.
Yeah, 15 plays of 15 yards.
The Indiana defense.
Yeah.
So we've talked through 3 weeks about how, the aggressiveness, trying to hit the explosives. They are one of the worst defenses in the country in giving up plays of 10 and 20 yards. They've had busted coverages in the pass game, which is weird because their DBs are a pretty veteran group. They're not tackling well. Their run fits have been bad. I mean, your run fits can't be good if you're giving up. How many splash plays according to Aaron's definition? Well, I don't know what.
I don't even know what Aaron's definition of a splash play is.
I'm going to go by the universally recognized
20 plus.
That's 20 plus pass. Yes, not 20 plus run. 10 plus run.
No, we 20 all around.
That's not a thing.
Go big or go home.
That's not a thing. So go away. 20 plus.
You can't ask for my definition and then get mad that you don't like my definition.
Oh, I don't have a problem with it. It's just flat wrong.
It's just not a thing.
20 plus pass, 10 plus run is an explosive splash play. So they are awful at defending those for some reason, and we'll see if they get that corrected. But I mean, a lot of this game, honestly, it shouldn't really be close if UC doesn't play with their food. I mean, you look at yards per play. This is a net yards per play, so it's taking in the offense, what they do, and what the defense allows, and gives you a net yards per play. UC's 40th, they're 86th. Available yards percentage. So, you start on your own 25, you have 75 yards. What percentage of those 75 yards do you accumulate on all your drives? You have available yards, and then what percentage of the available yards do you gain? UC's 30th, they're 83rd. So they're lower than average, in those areas. And those are net. That's not just offense yards. That's how their offense and defense works together.
Right.
If
John Goebel says this is why Aaron's covering the American next year.
Yes, he can say whatever he wants because no one will care.
Right.
If you want to get into the metrics of it, S&P Plus is not big on Indiana. They have them 82nd. They're, Sagarin, FPI, Massey, FEI, 66 to 79, 62 to 79, all in there. So very, very average to slightly below average in all of those metrics. I looked at some of their stuff comparing Illinois and Western Kentucky because I'm not looking at Idaho. So if you just go by SP Plus, Illinois has the 25th ranked defense, UCS the 24th. So very, very comparable. Obviously, it's very early in the season. For those that don't know, projections have to play a part because the sample size is just too small. It's not like basketball where in 1 week you can play in an event and get 3 games, and so you get an idea of a much quicker, better idea of what a team is. So there's a lot of projections baked in that as the season goes on, the percentage of the projection gets smaller and smaller. So right now it's still a pretty high number projection-wise because there's only been 3 games. So Illinois' defense is 25th, UC's is 24th. Against Illinois, they had a negative EPA per play, 33% success rate, 27% yards per pass, or yards per play. They had a negative EPA per rush, and somehow 0% third down success.
0% third down success?
I don't know what that. That can't just be like third down.
It sounds bad.
Percentage rate,
whatever it is.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, it sounds bad.
So you take all that and you're saying, okay, well, you're going to play somewhat of a comparable defense this week. So then I was like, okay, what is Western Kentucky's defense and how much better were the numbers? Western Kentucky's defense is 100th in SP Plus.
Mm-hmm.
They had 8 explosive plays in 85 scrimmage plays. They had 5.88 yards per play, which is only 48th percentile. So,
They were bad against the 100th defense.
You still weren't that good against the 100 defense in yards per play. When UC has had yards per play, hello Ryan, good luck with that. UC's had over 10, almost 11 yards per play against Kennesaw, which again, not going to take that into account. And they were well over 6 yards per play against, almost 7 yards per play against Arkansas, and well over 6 yards per play against Miami. So, and then against Western, their defense had a 0 percentile run stuff rate and a 10th percentile havoc rate, which kind of goes into what Matt and I talked about today with the defensive line. It doesn't get a ton of pressure. I love their linebackers. Like Caleb Jones.
Is anyone going to Thanksgiving dinner this year, though?
Oh, no. I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, Caleb Jones and Aaron Casey they're pretty damn good. Like, Aaron Casey had 8 tackles and 3 tackles for loss against Western. Caleb Jones has kind of stepped into that, Micah McFadden role, leadership, damn good player, like much more athletic. So you have those two guys are definitely going to need to be accounted for, especially in the run game, especially coming after the quarterback, because they're just not getting the pressure from their down 4 that I think that they would like to be getting. Special teams are going to be big. We know that UC cares deeply and has been productive in special teams. Indiana is good as well. I mean, they have a great kicker. He's like, I think he's missed 1 kick this year. It was in the 40 to 49 range. Obviously, I said made 1 from 51 to win the game. They blocked it. They blocked kicks. They blocked the field goal in overtime. So, that's always something that can swing a game if it's going to be close. If you're going to, get upset at home, you got to make sure that you're good in those areas. But I'm trying to think if I'm leaving anything out.
I guess on the flip side of that, do you think Trey ends up playing this week? Does your gut
punt at kick return?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. To me, he's awesome back there, but like, is it worth it? Would you,
I understand.
If he's got, he's obviously got something that's lingered. Is he 100%?
Just playing devil's advocate, though, we talked earlier about putting the ball on the turf too much. That was one thing that Chuck did back there last week was
he's going to be back there regardless. You're saying to put Trey and Tyler back there? I mean, Chuck's back there regardless as an up man. He only fielded that because they didn't kick it deep.
Okay.
He's like the next line.
Yeah. I thought it was on a punt return though. That was...
No, it was on the kickoff down their sideline. Jaden Thompson would be the punt return. He returned the punts last week. Again, we don't know is Ryan Montgomery going to be back? Don't know on that. Would have to think if he's good to go, then he's probably going to take back over the punt return role.
Right.
I'm always like Trey and Tyler are your leading receivers, your biggest threats by far. Like, I've just never been in love with like putting those guys back on return.
Well, and I think Drew Donnelly filled in great.
You're talking about as gunner.
As a gunner, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm talking about like as your kickoff returners.
Back on kicker, yeah.
I'd
be curious even though
you can't coach scared, you can't play scared, but like if you lost one of those dudes because of a
kick return,
an injury on a kick return, like I'd be like what do we like? Why?
Be curious.
Why take the risk?
I'd be curious to see what Drew could do back there. I mean, one of the fastest dudes on the team.
Yeah, but has he ever returned a kick?
I don't know the answer to that.
Right. And I can't look at it just from like a speed standpoint. Like there's way more to it than
Imagine in high school though, if you're the fastest
can you
receiver,
run fast?
If you're the fastest receiver on your team, I'd imagine as a high school coach, you're wanting to put that guy back there.
Yeah, but can you read the blocks? Are you just fast when it's just you and one other guy and not 11 guys coming full speed trying to take your head off?
I understand that. I'm just saying I would imagine that the high school coach probably
No, I mean Chad can say one way or the other. Like I did not see him take any reps at camp from a return standpoint.
No.
But
time will tell.
Oh yeah, he's hello Richard. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate the kind words. Aaron, are you messing with me?
No, I'm not messing with you. I was trying to put it up there as you're talking about it. I forget that you also have controls.
I do. So Western Kentucky's defense, like I said, 100th in S&P Plus or SP Plus. Miami's. Guess where Miami's is?
I wouldn't know.
101. So it's a pretty fair, I think you can fairly say like, okay, those are comparable defenses. So UC had a lot of success especially when they didn't turn the ball over. Indiana had some success, but we will see. Where did my co-host go?
I don't know the answer to that question, actually.
So I didn't know it was going to be a solo show tonight.
I'm doing my best here.
I know you're not exactly prepared. You had
not even a little bit. No, nope.
You had your show Monday.
Jason Cooper asked, wasn't Ethan Wright back there a couple times last year?
He might have been. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember.
I think he was.
Here, let's see if there's anybody else give a good question. Oh, wait. Let's see here. Tonk is asking the Arquan question, moving him back into the slot.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, and I think we touched on it Monday or Sunday morning. Yes, I mean, could you? Sure, but like, what are you getting then on the outside? Do you have more confidence in him on the outside and Taj and Sammy in the slot, or do you have more confidence with him in the slot and Bumpus or Justin Harris on the outside?
I think people are chomping at the bit for JQ, and
they don't play the same position.
I just mean to put him on the outside.
Well, I mean, but that means that would be over Jaquan Shepard.
Yeah.
So that would be a totally different dynamic, and then you'd be talking about moving
everybody around.
Yeah, if you move Arquan to the slot, then you're moving Justin Harris or Todd Bumfus to his position, and then if you want JQ to play more, then you're taking Jaquan. So you're basically have two new corners and one guy back to his former position. So like, are you just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic? Are you making moves for the sake of making moves? Or are you making moves that you think realistically make you better? And like we talked about Sunday, like you're not just going to make a move for the heck of it. You're going to make a move because you think this guy has earned it, and this guy
puts you in a better position to win.
Is better. Then he's going to give you more production than the person currently in the situation. We got a special guest.
Wait, we got a little bit of an unannounced guest. What's going on, my friend? Can you hear us?
Yeah, you're gonna have to find somewhere where it works and just stop. Hello?
Hi. Hello.
What's up, guys?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm in a rental car with Coach Morgan right here, pulling into the Atlanta airport, about to fly home.
Getting back home for workouts tomorrow, huh? We're what? 5 days from the start of practice for the 2022-23 Bearcats.
Yeah, we're going to start next Bye.
Uh,
Like the wake up and it's
Uh-oh.
The reception's not great at the Atlanta airport. You're breaking up, Coach. Uh-oh. Well,
Is he
I
in,
mean,
like,
we tried.
in a parking garage or something?
Are you in a garage?
Text him, tell him to get back at us when he can. He's definitely froze now. So
Yeah.
I didn't think he'd give up his location. You know,
I know, right?
don't want the media hounding you and following you around.
No, it was. I mean, it was worth a shot. It was worth a shot. Just having a casual conversation. He's like, "You want me to call on the podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah."
He doesn't know our schedule.
No, he didn't get the updated content schedule.
It's pretty rude. We're trying to do an award-winning podcast here. Rudely interrupted by
what he wasn't gonna say,
Mr. Basketball Coach.
What he wasn't gonna say, because he can't.
Oh yeah,
is that this is a really, really big weekend. A really, really, really.
He could say it's a big weekend.
Yeah, he can't get into why. I can get into why.
He could just say, yeah, it's a big weekend.
You want to know why?
I mean, I know why.
I think Jizzle James is the key to this. Because I get the sense, obviously, this shouldn't be a surprise. Isaiah Collier wants to play with as many good players as he can play with. And Jizzle James is a really good player. And Cincinnati has made it a priority to let both of these guys know, we want you to play together. Like, they haven't shied away from, we're doing, we're recruiting you for this, or we're recruiting you for that, trying to go behind each kid's back. Been very honest, very open with both of them in the recruiting process. That, look, we want you guys both here. We want you guys to run the backcourt as Cincinnati goes into the Big 12. If the fan base has a huge opportunity here. I've said this Monday. I've said it last night. The fan base has a really big opportunity here to impress, to make a lasting impression on both Jizzle James and Arrington Page.
Did you hear that?
What's that?
No, telling the people.
Oh, yeah. The people, listen.
Get those signs ready, people.
If you see them, say what's up. Take a picture.
Go say hi.
Tell them how much you want them to be Bearcats.
Plaza level, right outside by the Oscar statue. On your way into the game, if you go in on that side, there's a little couple tents, some tables.
Yeah. All right, we're going to try again here.
Do you have anything you want me to talk about Indiana anymore?
I missed, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. I think it's really strange that, the line opened, some saw it open at 11. I don't know if that was how accurate that was. Then
it was more 14 or so.
Yeah, but then it shot up to 17 in 12 hours.
Yeah.
If that.
It was quick.
And then it's kind of plateaued at 16 and a half, which seems like a big number, but
I mean, given all the numbers that we've gone through already here tonight, Cincinnati by 14, 17 points sounds,
I mean, that's kind of
reasonable.
where I am in the I'm kind of in the 10 to 14 range. Like, I kind of feel like, 38-20, 38-21, 38-24, something like that.
You're back.
I made it. I think our service is better right here.
Somebody in the chat said service around the Atlanta airport kind of stinks anyway, so it's understandable.
I've been here a couple times, and so I'm aware of it. But is it working now? We have good service?
We look pretty good right now.
Right now, you're
First off, everybody's concerned. Are you getting any sleep?
Well, yeah, we always got to find time to rest, but I don't know if my guy, Coach Morgan, right here, is getting any sleep. I don't know if he's slept a whole lot, but no, we've been on the road a ton, and then we've been back on campus quite a bit for practice. Some things going on there, so it's been a wild couple weeks, but it's been a fun couple weeks. This is the stuff we enjoy.
How important is it to get a lot of this road stuff done before the official start of practice? Because then you're working downhill towards the start of a season. A lot easier to get this stuff done now and cram it in as much as possible.
Yeah, well, so like for college basketball, for men's basketball, the recruiting period opens up on September 9th, and that's when we can, go visit players at their school or go visit them in their homes. And so you try to you can only go once a week to any given prospect. And so you try to do as much of that as you can around the stuff we're doing in the fall with our players. And then, it's much more difficult when we're practicing 6 out of 7 days a week. So we are trying to knock quite a bit out now.
How's it looking with the fellas right now? Does it feel like this is a team that's ready to take a step over where they were last year?
Yeah, I've been pleased to date. We had a good summer. We've had a good fall and preseason. We wrapped up preseason conditioning yesterday morning really early, and everybody passed their conditioning test, honestly, with ease. I'd say that where we are today is, significantly farther along than where we were on this day last year. But, as you know, that doesn't guarantee anything. We got to keep taking steps in the right direction. And, the meat and potatoes of what we're doing will happen here in October in our preseason practices.
I hear you're pretty excited for the football game Friday.
Whew, it's a big weekend. Big weekend to be a Bearcat. I am extremely excited. Obviously, it's a big football game, and we have the best fans in the country. My assistant and I were just talking about that here in the car, and we're excited for everybody to be able to experience that. That gets to show up on campus and that have that on display for a huge football game. So I hope it's a big win for our football program and a great weekend all the way around.
So if a fan happens to be walking by the Oscar statue on Saturday, wave, say hello, give the team a big "we love you," show as much appreciation for the Bearcats and the guys on the team and the coaching staff as possible, right?
Yeah, I got to make sure I don't get any trouble with compliance here. And
I'm just saying, like
if
you see Jeremiah Davenport, dap him up and tell him, let's have a big year. You see Landers Nolly, do the same.
I would tell you that our current players, a lot of them came to school here because they wanted to be in Cincinnati and the tradition and I think some of the things that are going on in our program. But a big part of why a lot of them came to school here was because of the passion of our fan base. They wanted to play at UC for our fans. And so anytime our fans have the opportunity to show some love, I know it's greatly appreciated by our players and everybody in our program.
Does it feel like you guys are finally solid ground, off and running? I know year one can always be such a challenge that you always feel like you're playing catch up. Does it feel like you guys right now are dialed in, looking ahead and saying, we know exactly where we want to take this?
I don't think you ever feel like you've arrived, right? And I know that's probably not.
That wasn't what I was asking.
I think, kind of the day that you feel like you've arrived or you feel like you're in a good place will be the day you're going the wrong direction. So we still have a fire in our belly to try to move the needle every day. And I hope that never stops. But what does feel different, guys, is it does feel like home now. We do feel like our feet are on the ground in terms of this is our home. we have a lay of the land, right? We know who people are. We know where things are. There's some foundational things that just weren't there in year one. And it does feel a lot better to wake up and have my routine. I mean, like, listen, man, I love to wake up and have my morning routine and where I go get coffee and all that kind of stuff. And so every example you could think of down the line, yeah, the feet are grounded, but we're not comfortable, and we are working like crazy every day, with a sense of urgency. So that part hadn't changed at all.
Dave, you got anything before we let him go?
No, I'm just going to say, Coach, I'll see you Friday at the pep rally at the Wellness Fest.
You will. I'll see you there. I'll see you down
Dave's
there.
helped running that.
Dave, you're in charge of that?
No, I wouldn't go to. My aunt actually is in charge of it, but I'm part of the company that puts on the Wellness Fest. So,
well, I'm excited to be there. I'll be in and out because, we have some other things going on that I'm not privy to talk about.
Of course,
publicly. But I'll be in and out and be excited to be there, and then obviously excited for all the festivities this weekend. So, Dave, I hope I see you.
All right, we'll make it happen.
You two gentlemen have a great flight, and thanks for taking a couple minutes. And make sure everybody looks for Wes to say hi on Saturday with great enthusiasm.
All right, thanks, guys. Go Bearcats.
Appreciate you, Coach. Goodbye, Coach Morgan.
He said bye. We gotta wait bye.
There we go.
But yeah, so
just a casual, impromptu, out of nowhere, Wes Miller.
That's right.
Stop in on the podcast.
Yeah.
To
I was
stress how important this weekend is.
If you want to see him on Friday, downtown, Kroger Wellness Fest, Friday and Saturday. Friday, 4:00, UC Pep Rally, Coach Miller, Coach Hurd, John Cunningham, cheerleaders, dance team, probably some band members. A lot of celebs will be in town for the Wellness Fest. Carrie Underwood, Chrissy Teigen, Brian Malarkey, if you're into Top Chef. Gonna be a big weekend downtown for the Wellness Festival. So there is a UC Pep Rally, 4:00 Friday.
And then go see Wes on Saturday. Say hi at the tailgate. They'll be by Oscar.
Right.
I can say it. Go nuts for Jizzle James and Arlington Page. Like, it's important.
Go give him a hug, handshake.
I mean, that was that. Like, I'm off track now. Usually we have a path for this show, and Coach Vic is not coming on to the end of this podcast.
No,
I can assure you of that right now, Stephen. He is at home with the wife and kids, and I'm not looking to have Amy take me down Saturday for interrupting. But yeah, that's just a random 10, 12 minutes of Wes Miller. Did I even try? No, Jeffrey. I did not try. I didn't try for that. That just happened organically. I had nothing to do with making that happen. Yeah, this is a family pod. Bring them all on. Luke, Amy, and the 5 kids that are at home. I mean, we can talk a little bit more basketball recruiting. I'm interested in your reaction to all of this.
I mean, I guess my reaction is is a little bit twofold. Look, he disappears again.
I'll be right back. I'm listening.
My reaction is twofold. I mean, obviously, Isaiah Collier puts out yesterday on Twitter that, he's close to a decision date. Now, I don't, who knows what that means. But he's been a top target for UC forever. We obviously know his connection to Arlington Page, who's been a top target for UC, who is visiting this weekend. We know what Jizzle James, another top target, he's visiting this weekend. There's been increased chatter around Flory Badunga. potentially a top 5 player in his class. Like, at
And
no point,
potentially, and I'll go ahead and jump on this bandwagon now. Potentially a member of the 2023 class.
Yeah.
That's not. It's on the table. Let's say
at
that.
no point in the history, even in the glorious days of Bob Huggins, at no point in the history of UC basketball has the recruiting kind of coalesced all at the same time in this sort of manner. So I have that on one side that is obviously uber positive and everything. On the other side, I have the tempering expectations.
Sure.
Let's lock it up. It's great to be involved. It's great to be in the top 3. It's great to be, considered a favorite for one, all, none, whatever you might think. But like, it's magnified so much more in basketball than football, just because of the volume of the players and the amount of offers that you give out and the amount of guys that you truly go after hard. That's all well and good, but you gotta close the deal. And we know they're doing everything in their power, but all of this going on right now doesn't amount to a hill of beans if they can't close the deal.
Right.
So, I think you have to be understanding of the extreme positives of the current situation and what that could mean moving forward, especially if they can, get 1, 2, all. I'm not going to get into hypotheticals and percentages and things like that, but what that could mean for future classes, especially going into the Big 12. But then, you also have to be like, okay, well, let's make it happen. And then what happens if it doesn't? We know how the game works. We know there are players and influences and, whatever words you want to use that can throw wrenches in the best laid plans. So, kudos to the coaches. I mean, they are clearly seeing these players as much as allowed and expressing their importance. And I think the key too is, especially with the Collier and Page situation, their importance singularly. Like,
that's been huge, especially for AP.
Like their importance of yes, Arrington, we know you are very close and teammates with Isaiah, but we want you because we want Arrington Page. We don't want you contingent on Isaiah Collier. Like, if Isaiah Collier chooses another school, that does not change our interest in you one iota.
Right. No, I think it's really important for Paige that the school knows, or that he knows the school values him on the same level that they like. It's not just we want to get you because it helps our chances to land Isaiah.
Right, because I'm sure in the back of his mind throughout this process, it would only be human nature for him to think that how many of these schools truly want me, and how many of them say they want me because they think that I will just that we're a package deal.
Right. I think that's why it was important. Like, here's where I talked about a lot of the reports were wrong. That first day of the open period, they went specifically minute 1 to see Page and then to go do an in-home with him that night. To say clearly, Collier knows how all in Cincinnati is on him. But I think they wanted to send that statement directly to Page that, we're here for you today, brother. We're recruiting Zay, but today, our day 1, our priority is to be here for you and to do an in-home visit with you and to let you know you're at the top of our wish list. And I think that potentially has a chance to make a lot of an impact, because I think it's authentic. I think it's genuine. They genuinely want both of these kids, and they're putting in the work. They started out, Dave, today at 5:30 watching these two kids work out. And they're just now getting to the Atlanta airport to head back to Cincinnati. They put in an entire day. Everything they were allowed to do by the NCAA in a day, they did. And I think that's a sign of, look, like, we're going to do whatever it takes. Whatever the rules are, whatever we're allowed to do, you can guarantee we're going to go all the way to that, like, to the minute, to that limit. Yeah, and I think that's big time.
They're not going to get out-recruited.
Is it wild to you that, like, we've already gotten to a point, like with 2024, I bring up, like, top 30 ranked kids, and it just becomes, like, quickly an afterthought? Like, oh, yeah, well, yeah.
What was the one kid that's, like, number 8?
Yeah, Ace Bailey.
Ace Fraley?
Ace Bailey.
Yeah, but it's like, but that's the thing is if you pull an Isaiah Collier or you pull a Flory, those are the kids I would expect you to then start recruiting.
Right.
Because you've pulled the best in the class. You've pulled the best of the best. You've sold them. They like you. They understand the vision. They believe in the vision. They believe in the possibilities. Then you better be recruiting all of those other 5-star and high 4-star guys that you see fit your program.
And we really, like, a lot of this has just been like Atlanta so far. Like, we haven't even seen him really be able to, like, dip his toes into North Carolina when he actually gets this thing rolling and can take some swings on those elite North Carolina kids. Like, that's coming too.
Or Indiana.
Not saying. Just saying. It's weird. I went to Bradley's website, and there's no mention of Drew Adams on Bradley's website at all.
Maybe just a technical issue.
Strange. His
you know what? I heard they had a redevelopment.
Well, everybody else is still there
of the website. Well, I mean,
I checked their other staff members. Everybody else is still, their pages still work. Drew Adams' pages have been, for some reason, scrubbed from the Bradley website.
Yeah, hey, it could just be an internal error.
Yeah, it could be. That's probably it. It's crazy exciting, man. Like, this is what you've wanted, right? Like,
yes,
get us a coach that says, I don't give a shit. I'm swinging.
Yes. Like, because basketball is just so much different than football. Like, you get a couple dudes, like, you can make the damn tournament and you can win 2 games because you got 2 really good dudes, even if they're freshmen.
Yeah.
And they mesh well with your returning talent, and you have some returning talent, but you don't have, a guy, not a jag, but like a guy. And then you get a couple, that changes your whole outlook on a season.
Changes your whole outlook on.
But yeah, I mean, if you're going to go into
an era.
If you're going to go into the Big 12 and say that you're going to compete, well, the last 2 national champions are in the Big 12. A team that went to the national championship game a few years before that is in the Big 12. Like, you better get some damn guys. And you can't get the damn guys if you don't go after the damn guys.
Right.
This isn't, it's I'm more on the football side, but like, dudes are dudes in basketball much sooner than they aren't. Like, you're not developing a bunch of 3 stars in basketball and then going and winning the national championship.
Right.
I don't think there's been many teams that have had recruiting classes of a bunch of guys around 150 that then go 31-4 and win 5 games and go to the title.
Well, I think a lot of people looked at, like, the Villanova method and said, like, okay, if you can land 1 or 2 top 75-ish type kids a year, like, you can build it. But
yeah, but
Jay Wright's also one of
they started adding, like,
right,
5 stars and like very, very high 4 stars too.
Right. It was just that first one that they did it in an abnormal way. And then they did it in a normal way. And also, they had what was maybe the best in-game tactician in the game in Jay Wright.
It helps to have an insanely good coach.
Like an insanely good coach. That helps bring everything together.
So yeah, I mean, like
sure.
football, we always talk about like identify, develop, you're not going to be able to compete in the recruiting world with the Ohio States and the Alabama and the Georgias, so we got to make our hay with the 3-star that develops, and after 4 or 5 years, they're a NFL draft pick, and that just doesn't happen in basketball. Like, teams don't bring in a bunch of 3-stars and develop them and then go win titles or go to Final Fours. I mean, even Houston, they had old guys that they developed, but they augmented them with a Kansas transfer that was a 5-star.
Right. Who was the best player on their team.
Right. So, like, it's just a different recruiting world. It's a different development world. Things have to happen much quicker because just basketball, you are what you are, basically. There are outliers, but like by the end of your sophomore year, we know what you are. You might be solid, but like you're not all of a sudden going to go from solid to, conference player of the year.
There's like one of those a year in the country.
Right.
Like that's just not how it that's not how it happens. So if you're going to be great, you better have great players. And this dude is again, Dave, it goes back to why I love the Luke Fickell hire, because you're touching the mindset of the best football program in the country, which I think is Ohio State, outside of Alabama. And then you're touching what is historically the best college basketball program in the country, which is North Carolina. And the mindset of those guys that come from those places is different.
Yeah, it's North Carolina. I mean, when Wes was a player, win a title or it's not a good year.
Right. Not the ACC title.
No.
No.
You can't get a bunch of lottery picks and a bunch of 5-stars and then be cool with like going out in the Sweet 16.
Right. This guy's bringing an energy that this basketball program has desperately been seeking over the past 3 years. I mean, say what you will about Mick. Mick had a ton of success. This, in a lot of ways, feels...
This is totally different. I mean, Mick took very much the like Luke Fickell approach.
Yeah.
He was very, very specific, and all coaches are, but like he was ultra specific on the type of guy and the fit, and was almost willing to sacrifice a little bit of the skill because he felt like if we are so close, and they were, like, you can ask any of those players that like we will just get it done because we are so close and so tight knit, and we so understand what we're trying to do. But I think that's then where why they didn't have the success we all wanted in the tournament, is because when it's tournament time, you need dudes.
And they had some dudes, but they didn't have enough dudes.
Like, yeah.
You had late first rounders and early second rounders.
Yeah, like free agent guys. Like,
yeah, you didn't have lottery picks.
You're going up against teams that have even and even Iowa. Like the Iowa game. They have big time like draftable player of the year, like,
right.
I'm not going to bring up the game that is not to be discussed, but like they had 2 NBA, 1 first-round pick, I know.
And they had a bunch of other transfers.
I don't know what his
really
brother ended up being, but like,
right.
Yeah, those, I mean.
They had 2 guys that took over that game.
Right.
Said, we're not losing. And Cincinnati couldn't stop the bleeding. Yeah, it's fun. My phone has gone off from people around the basketball community over the past week more than I can remember in a long time.
I'm just happy that we have all these people in the live chat to hear what you and I have to say. I'm sure that's why they're all still here.
Yeah, I mean, Wes was here, sure, he stopped by for 10 minutes, but now they're here for what we have to talk about.
Exactly.
Practice starts this coming week. I think he was going to say, I don't know that they're necessarily going to start like on the 26th. I think that's what he was getting at.
Hinting at maybe the week after or later in the week.
A little bit later in the week, whatever. They want to time that up with like the first game so that you only get you get 30 days out from the first game, but you only get so many days to practice. What you don't want to do is start early and then you get to the end of that line and you're out of days.
Right.
And you got to, you're taking multiple days off. So a lot of coaches like to maybe take 2 or 3 days off at the start, and then they don't have 2 or 3 days that they have to burn. Ooh, buddy, Bearcat 12. Ooh. Early starting 5 projection. Oh, man. I guess Finney, DeJulius, Nolly, Davenport. I don't know at center. I don't know. Like I don't have a great feel for that yet. I think Mike Adams Woods could challenge Finney for starting at point guard. I think there is like a evolution of this team that sees potentially DeJulius at the 1. And then, you get a little bit more length and athleticism on the floor as you move down the roster with potentially, like a Dan Skillings, who I've heard has been just rapidly improving since he got here. There's just a lot of pieces that I think are pretty similar in talent that are going to be scrapping and clawing for minutes. Do you have a guess, Dave? Do you have a preference?
No.
Win games, that's your preference?
Yeah.
Schedule came out today. Everybody's upset.
Why? I was very busy today. I briefly looked at it. What is wrong with it?
Well, there's not a lot of meat on the non-conference schedule, but I don't know that you want a lot of meat on the non-conference schedule as you're trying to get this team together. Everybody's upset. For some reason, they play Cleveland State on a Thursday at noon, November 10th.
That's interesting tip time.
Yeah, I guess it's the women's team has their season opener that night.
Okay,
so
you had
skip. I don't know.
Is it on TV?
ESPN Plus. That's the thing so the only non-conference games that aren't on ESPN Plus are Maui, Xavier.
Yeah,
and I think that's it.
They don't play anybody good in the non-conference.
Yeah, the Northern game is to be determined. My guess is that'll be on ESPN Plus. Like, I don't know how it's not. But yeah. So, everybody's in an uproar.
Go to the games. They don't have an actual road non-conference game.
Outside of going to Northern.
Except for Maui.
They do have to go to Northern. That is off campus.
So go. I think you can make it if you live in the greater Cincinnati area.
It's pretty close. I think you managed to go. I think there's going to be tickets available.
I don't like it, but like we've been on ESPN Plus for how many years now? Like,
right.
We should be used to it.
Yeah.
It's not going to change in the Big 12.
Luka's not coming on. Okay? It's not happening tonight.
Or ever.
Could you imagine me sending him that text like, hey, can you come on the podcast tonight? Let me here's my general thing with coaches, right? They are like Wes, changes next week. The whole mentality changes when practice starts and you're, steamrolling towards a season.
You're in season. You're in season.
Coach goes
next
into
week.
season mode. When a coach is in off-season mode, he'll do things like join you from the beach in Mexico, right? Because he's relaxed. There's no immediate urgency to win a game.
Luke is a meathead, so it gives him a chance to talk about football and get away from everybody else.
Right. And Wes is a basketball junkie, diehard. So yeah, that's the last time Wes is gonna volunteer to come on the show. And I'm probably gonna I am surprised I haven't gotten a call from the athletic department. Why did you not let us know that was gonna happen? Because I didn't know it was gonna happen, and I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. It's beyond my control.
It's hard.
But if the answer is, do you want me to come on your podcast? Or if the question is, do you want me to come on your podcast? The default answer is yes. And
yes.
If I get yelled at for that, I get yelled at for that. It's hard. It's hard. You know what I'm not doing? I'm not saying no to a head coach. It's can I come on?
No, we're good.
We're busy. Dave and Aaron are really in the middle of the IU conversation right now.
What's this? The old saying: "It's better to ask for forgiveness
than permission."
Than permission. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. Sorry if that makes anybody mad. It's my bad. Luke lives under a rock. It's a really nice rock.
Yeah.
I guess it's technically his house does look like there's stone. So technically he lives under a rock. It's just a really nice rock. I'm excited about basketball. I think it's got a chance to be a really interesting team, a really fun team. And I think
yeah, I mean, we'll obviously get into it much more, but outside of Houston, who is going to be good in this league this year?
I don't.
So why can't UC be that team?
Right.
Yeah.
Glad we get Houston early. They get Houston January 8th, and then again January 28th, and then I haven't really gone through breaking down this schedule.
I have no idea. I've just seen whatever's been on Twitter and.
So here's the first 5 games, Dave, of the conference slate.
Okay.
Tulane at home, at Temple, at Wichita, which is Cincinnati West. And then Houston at home, East Carolina at home. You should be able to start pretty good there, right?
That's the first 5?
Yeah.
4-1.
Next section of games. At SMU, at South Florida, Memphis at home, Houston on the road, Tulsa at home.
What time is the South Florida game?
7 p.m. on January 18th, which I think is a Thursday.
It's the middle of the week, yeah.
Yeah, it's a middle of the week game.
3-2.
And then UCF at home, at Tulane, South Florida at home, East Carolina and UCF on the road.
3-2.
And then at Temple at home, and then Memphis on the road.
1-1
maybe. That's would you give them 5 losses?
5-6 losses, something like that.
Yeah, 12 and what they play 18 games, so 12-6, 13-5. I think it's reasonable for that conference slate, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, if it's worse than 12-6,
something went wrong.
I would think so. I mean, then you're just you're not meeting what I think would be fair and realistic expectations because, and whatever happens in Maui happens in Maui. The rest of the non-conference slate outside of Xavier, you should win all those games. You're not going to get any credit for winning those games. So,
yeah. It should be a 22-win team, 21, 22, 23-win team. Unless they're really good in Maui. And then I think all of a sudden the spectrum changes a little bit. Do I expect them to be really good in Maui? No, probably not.
I think if you get a win in Maui, I will look at that as a positive.
Yeah, but if you come out of Maui 2-1, like you're
2-1,
feeling
that'd be pig and shit.
right. Simone family tailgate, I guess. Like do you have anything else on basketball? We're gonna have a ton more basketball, but
No,
we got less. So it was time for basketball
I have
heavy.
nothing else. I honestly I have no idea what I have this whole big event set up for it tomorrow, and then more to do on Friday. I have no idea. Like, I have to be downtown by 7 tomorrow, so it's going to be an early morning.
You're just trying to get out of here.
I'm not saying that. I just have I have not had I have no idea what the Simone family tailgate is this week. I think my mom has told me twice, and I just don't remember.
It just
I have no idea.
Well, what? It's Indiana. There's not really an Indiana food.
No, corn. The weather should be glorious.
It should be 72 degrees, partly cloudy.
So
nice little breeze. It should be a wonderful day at Nippert Stadium.
So everybody should get there early.
Hopefully today was the last. This is disgusting day of the year.
Yeah, it's supposed to drop like 30 degrees tomorrow.
Yeah, like 67 is the high tomorrow.
So hopefully everybody can get nice and lathered up.
I'm going, whatever the number is, I'm going with the over for you on Saturday because you're just going to be exhausted from Thursday and Friday. Or do you have to be there Saturday? Are you going to be able?
I'm out. Nope.
Okay.
I don't have to be there Saturday at all.
Okay.
So I'm good there. Thursday is tomorrow's the big day. Friday the event actually starts at 11. So we better
Tomorrow's
have
the setup.
We better have all the setup done, and Friday I'll obviously stick around for the pep rally, but I'm hoping to then just be able to get out of there after the pep rally.
I don't know. I'll go 9.5 for the beers, and I'll go six flat for the Jello shots.
Well, I can already tell you well over. I've been in the double digits both tailgates for the Jello shots.
The Jello shots you've been rocking heavy. Has that affected the beer input? No.
I definitely went over.
I'll get to that in a minute, Jason.
I definitely went over the number at Kennesaw. We didn't really put a number out there for Miami.
It's a road game.
It's true. Did you like my tweet to Brett McMurphy today?
No, I didn't see it.
He put up like longest home winning streaks in the country, and Miami is actually like in the top 5 or so with 15 straight. And I said, "Sir, Miami lost a home game a mere 4 days ago."
Did he respond?
No, I don't think so. But yeah, I would say your over on both of those should be pretty easy, especially with I'll probably get there, a little early, beer drinking weather, nice excuse to sit outside.
Yeah.
Ordered my confetti cannons today.
Nice.
This will be back.
I've been ordering lighting, and you're ordering confetti cannons.
Well, I like to have fun when I go to the game.
Jason, do we get an episode of the new podcast tomorrow at 9? Where do we find it? You can find it right here. So they are not going to be on our podcast channels. And for those that are here, we got a big crowd here tonight. We are welcoming in a new podcast. It is called The Rock of Truth. It is there's some former players that are involved in this podcast.
Sorry, breaking news.
Okay.
I've just been informed that the tailgate entree is tacos.
Okay.
So
when you think Indiana, you think tacos.
Someone's obviously listening.
She's always listening.
I know. That's the scary part.
So the Rock of Truth podcast. It's hosted by Joe Metzger, who's a big UC fan, Nick Statterman, former walk-on, Jake Sopko, former quarterback / grad assistant, student coach, whatever role he specifically had. We are bringing them into the Bearcat Journal Network. I have wanted for a long time to have a podcast run by players, giving you the player perspective. We do that as much as we can with Royer and Garrett and all the guests that we have on throughout the offseason. But I think this is going to be just another great addition to the Bearcat Journal network of podcasts, which go Bearcat Brunch on Sunday, BBP on Monday, Pardon the Punctuation on Tuesday, this show on Wednesday, Rock of Truth on Thursday. We're up to 5, Dave. We're up to 5 days a week with podcasts.
Nightcap every night.
Well, that's, yeah.
Is this like Arizona basketball is a players program? Is BCJ a players podcast?
It's a walk-ons podcast.
A walk-ons podcast?
Well, Sopko is a scholarship guy, but like Tobler, Statterman, Royer, Garrett Campbell, we gravitate towards the walk-ons.
Well, yeah.
There's already a guy on roster now that's a walk-on that I got my eye on for down the road. Can we wager on Dave drinks at the tailgate? Maybe include it with the in-game parlay.
Well, okay. The question then is, who's the house? Because I will totally game the system.
Right.
So
Dave is not afraid to rig the system.
Oh, the over-under is 8.5. You want to put 20 on the under? Okay, I'll do the under if I get a cut of that.
Right.
Like, who's the house?
Yeah, I'll do 8 and then drink 3 more when I get into the stadium.
Yeah,
because those don't count. It's just a tailgate count. Yeah, Dave would not have been good to have been really involved in college sports back in the the gambling, the real gambling days.
Yeah.
Because Dave you'd have got caught. You'd have been throwing games.
No way. I've been way too slick for that.
So you wouldn't have got caught, but you would have been throwing games.
I mean, I would have been I would have been in somebody's pocket. No, would never do such a thing. Integrity is key to college intercollegiate athletics. These student athletes.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. All right. There anything else you have for this evening? Anything else going around college sports you want to talk about? Anything funny you want to hit on?
I don't think so. My mind is kind of all over the place, so I haven't talked to Dan in a little while. That's been quiet. So
I mean, the games are happening right now, right? So
I think there's still some things being worked on, back channels. We could talk about we mentioned the basketball recruiting. There's apparently going to be some high level football recruits at the game this weekend as well.
Yeah, show them love too.
More so in the 2024-2025 class, but
including the number 8 player in the 2025 class, DJ Pickett,
whose cousin happens to be on the current roster.
Just happens to be Jaquan Shepard's cousin.
A very nice prospect from Springfield, which I'm sure
another top 247 guy, Springfield.
I'm sure someone from about 90 miles south will be interested in as well.
Yeah.
So
Steve Wilfong put out the top of that list today. Mick will have the full list tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for Brent's preview. We'll have the staff preview on Friday. We'll have Eric's look at the American Athletic Conference games. We'll have nightcaps every night.
Is Brent not attending the game Saturday?
No, he's attending the game.
I thought
he wants to leave.
Heard on he wants to leave.
He wants to leave without writing the recap so he can go party with his Indiana friends.
Oh. I'm the only one that gets to do stuff like that.
We have that agreement. I don't.
Yes.
One of the things that we agreed on when you signed the contract, the very detailed and prestigious contract with Bearcat Journal, was that you got Saturdays off. And that you're not expected to work on Saturdays unless it's a very special edition of Dave After Dark.
Right.
Saturdays are very much in Brent's contract. And I want to go party with my friends. Did not pass the test for the work that needs to get done.
I'm already like kind of not looking forward to Big 12 Dave After Darks.
Why? Because there's going to be a lot of.
There could be a lot of them.
Yeah, but that's different now because you got the brunch.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, we're actually going to be playing teams that
matter
could possibly require Dave After Dark. Like, we're kind of the big dogs now. Like, anybody we beat in the regular season does not get the Dave After Dark attention.
Marcus said he golfed with Dan Simon last weekend, fired a 74, said Dave's a donk. Couldn't disagree.
I don't know what that means, but Dan did not fire 74. I can definitely tell you
You've
that.
played with him before. Dan's not a 74 guy.
Definitely not right now.
All right, that's going to wrap it up. We'll keep you to a short one this week just because everything got thrown into left field with what happened in the middle of this show. Hey, UCF superfan, do you have a UCF podcast where your coaches just pop in randomly to say hello while they're sitting in parking lots and airports?
Tell my boy Christian Simmons what's up.
We will see you next time, next Wednesday night. We are locked into Wednesday nights, Dave. Locked in.
That's right.
Next Wednesday night, the BCJ podcast, presented by the Holy Grail, right here on BearcatJournal.com.